Now?
All right, we're recording. Okay.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to this webinar series on a bank code. Martin here is a certified licensed bank code trainer, and also he is certified John Maxwell coach as well, which is a bonus for us all to learn under his guidance about this bank code, which he is going to talk to us about. Martin has been guiding students and business owners alike towards their destinations and goals for more than 40 years. When it comes to sales and influence, his results were good, but not good enough for Martin. As usual, then he was introduced to a bank methodology, the only methodology in the world scientifically validated to predict the behavior of the client or the buyer or whomever you call yourself in your business, where you can predict this behavior in 90 seconds. Can you believe it? 90 seconds. Marty will recount his journey of 66 years and how bank has supercharged his business and also his relationship. Marty, take away and give us all the information you have.
Thank you very much, Soda. I appreciate you inviting me on to this. And folks, whatever it is that you do, of course, you've always gone through experiences in your life and you learn that there are big things that happen sometimes. But let me ask you a question. What if one big idea, could change everything for you? Well, you've probably had some of those. For instance, back when you were a child, probably your parents had a paper map. And when you were driving around, your dad was driving possibly, and your mom was in the side seat playing navigator. She would have a paper map that sometimes she would put in front of your dad's face, and you would push it away and said, "I can't see." But that was how you got to places, no matter where you were in the world. And then now, of course, every car is made pretty much standard with GPS in it. That was a world-changing idea, but it didn't start with, it came one at a time. It started with NASA using it for satellites, and then it was used for the military, and then they allowed it to be a consumer item. And now it's everywhere. You try going to a gas station and finding a map. It's pretty much impossible. So that changed the world. And what I want to do today is introduce to you an idea that has changed my world and is changing the world of people in 100 countries around the world already. And we are expanding this because we found that it actually started out as a sales training program, but we found out that it really is an upgrade to the firmware of your human operating system. That's how big this is, and I hope that you'll agree with when we're all done.
I love that analogy of firmware to human relationships. Oh, that's brilliant.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's. I think it's all about people, isn't it, nowadays, Martin?
Yes.
It's even marketing. It used to be for people, place, price, and promotion and product, and now a new P has been added, that is people, isn't it? And even in the marketing grid of instead of 4 Ps, it's more 5 Ps now.
Yes. Yes.
And the 5th P is people.
People, exactly. The 5th P is people. So this is me, and as Sudha said, I've been doing business for 30 years of my 66. Before that, I was actually a music teacher, so I've been training people, kids, adults, for a long time. I started out as a software trainer back in the 80s when computers were brand new. The Commodore PET was the most advanced computer there was, and that was a long time ago. And so I kind of went there. So I've been a teacher, a coach, a mentor. I actually started out as a bus tour guide. So I love guiding people. And that's kind of what this is really about. I see myself as a tour guide to help people find the meaning in their life and also the ability to do better, just even one day better than they were the day before. And that's really how I found this to be my purpose. So
Yeah.
I hope I will show you that and show you how it can be yours as well, even if it's one tiny sliver of your life, or maybe you might find it help you find your purpose as well.
Yeah, Martin, I found it really, really intriguing about this whole bank code and how it came about, even though I've been a little bit of a junkie for all the personality tests and all other things. And this seemed to be a lot different, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. And there are many personality tests, and we're going to talk about the history of this one, but the difference between this one and say the other ones, which are the most common ones, are DISC and MBI, Myers-Briggs, and the
Yeah,
color codes, and also there's one for animals. The
yeah,
difference between this and all those is that the founder of our company, whose name is Sherry Tree, who we'll be introducing in a little while, she she was in sales and failed miserably in the beginning of her career. And again, we'll talk more about that. But what happened was she found that all of those other assessments didn't help her make one more dollar. All those assessments are really designed to help you learn about you.
yeah,
The difference is that what we're going to teach you is something where you can learn about the other person. And why is that important? Well, that's what we're going to get to next. It really answered an important question for her, which is, why do people buy? Why why do people, and this is a question that she had to get answered. She would make a presentation and one group of people would say yes, and to that same presentation another group of people would say no. And she would say, why is that? And so we're going to show you the secrets, the science, the system, and the solution to helping you answer the question of why they buy. And that's where the bank comes from.
yeah.
Well,
It's not buying is in all aspects of life,
right.
isn't it?
Yes.
And as a public speaker, you know that as well. Immediately when we open our mouth, we are selling, even to get that remote control from your partner to
Yes.
watch your own channel or your own program is the selling of how you try to go and get about that. And also asking your child to make up the bed or come back home on time, these are all selling, isn't it? So
Yes, it's
understanding
funny you
that.
mentioned a child because sometimes I had to convince the child to play the trumpet before they wanted to play the French horn. Maybe they didn't have the ear for the French horn, and really they needed to start out on the trumpet instead, or maybe they
Yeah.
didn't hear it all and they needed to play the drum. Yes, no matter what we're doing, we're selling all the time, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Even if it's selling your parents on going to bed an hour later so you can watch your favorite TV show.
Yes. Even that is selling, isn't it?
Yeah, we've been selling our whole lives, but here's the thing: many of us along the way we get turned off on the idea of selling because we have bad experiences with it, or we're faced with people that we don't like who are salespeople, or we
Yeah.
feel manipulated. So we kind of get a little dismembered about that whole thing. And so, but in any case, regardless of how you feel about it, when we're trying to persuade someone about an idea or a
Mhm.
concept, we're selling.
Yes.
So really, there are four levels of needs that we have, and you can
Yeah.
see that money is the very first one. It's the least important. But if you don't have money, you can't really. It's hard to achieve the other ones because you can't really have a good life. I mean, people over 65 years old, the majority of us are dependent on the government for our services. You can't really help the charities you want. You can't provide for your kids. You can't do the things that you really want to do unless you have some money. So money is a basic need on that level. But really, the next level is relationships,
Yeah.
right? And then beyond that, it's knowledge. And then the final one, the top one, is really spiritual. How many times have you ever heard from a person say, "Boy, now you're really talking my language," and
Yeah.
and you feel almost a spiritual connection with that person?
Yeah, yeah, that's always the case, isn't it? Even though when you said money is the basic need, yes, because to be in your house, to have the right person in your house, and all of that comes from money. Nowadays, unfortunately or fortunately,
Yeah.
um, yeah, and then you start talking about the spiritual connection. So yeah, brilliant.
It's very basic. So let's assume for the purpose of this discussion that when we use the word sales, we're not talking about products or services necessarily. We're
Yeah,
talking about influence and persuasion, whatever, in all forms. So when we use words, it's all interchangeable. Is that a fair?
Yes, it is. As I said, when I started with it, yeah, we when we open our mouth, we are somehow persuading another other person to see our viewpoint uh, by understanding where they are coming from.
Yes, exactly. And if you're a leader in any form, if you're a leader as a coach, or if you're a leader of people in a group, an organization, before you can be a leader, you have to learn how to be able to influence, because there are actually 5 levels of leadership. And this is really a John Maxwell concept. John
Yeah.
Maxwell taught me personally that the first level of leadership is when you have authoritarian leadership. You tell your child, well, I'm your dad and you're going to do it no matter what I say. Well, that works until they're about 20 or maybe even 13.
No, no, not 20. What age are you in,
Yeah,
Martin?
well,
At
maybe now it's 8.
the age of 5, they seem to have their own world.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. But it doesn't matter, right? So even when they're 3, they're playing jailhouse lawyers already, right? So exactly. So the authoritarian model has a very limited value. But
Mhm.
but if you have a boss, yeah, they can tell you what to do. But once you get beyond that, the second level of leadership in 3, 4, and 5 all require people to buy into what you're saying to follow you. It's no
Yeah.
good to be a leader if nobody's following.
Yes.
Okay, so what we're learning is that people have intelligence, but the kind in your brain, but the other side of your brain, which is called emotional intelligence or EQ, has become more and more relevant and more important. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter how smart you are. If you haven't got emotional smart, then you're not going to lead anyone, because they're just not going to buy into you. So
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
yeah, so we're going to talk.
That's where the influence and persuasion comes in place, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. So we're actually going to be teaching you tools to increase your emotional intelligence, and so that you can use your IQ better,
Yeah.
which is really cool. So it's way beyond just a sales tool. But Robert Kiyosaki said that the ability to sell is the number one skill in business, and really in life, if you look at it,
Yeah.
right? But when it comes to sales, there's only 4 factors that impact how much you sell. And we're going to refer to something that was created by Salesforce.com with a company called Altify. And
Yeah.
it's called the sales velocity equation. So this is really a business thing, but it applies to everything else too. But let's start with the business part. So V, which is velocity, speed, right,
Hmm.
is 4 factors. First one is the blue one, which is how many of sales opportunities you work. How many people do you talk to?
Yeah.
How many leads do you follow? All right. That's why you have a funnel, to have those leads, right?
Hmm.
Then you have the average deal value. So if you're selling a car, it's probably 20, 30, 40, $100,000. If you're selling vitamins, it might be 20 to $50. It
Yeah.
all depends on what you're selling, but it's whatever the average deal value is, that number sign. The third one is the win rate. How many people are saying yes versus how many people saying no? Now, when it comes to sales, I'm sure you have heard the same thing. It's a numbers game. In order to get more yeses, you have to get more.
Knows.
Yeah, right. I mean, who hasn't heard that? So it's so obvious. We've all been told that. The problem is, it's actually a myth. It's a lie, because how many no's earn you money? 0.
But you're wasting time as well. This is where I get really frustrated when they
Yeah.
say that statement. It is waste of time. Waste of time is waste of money,
Yes.
because each and every one have got hourly rate.
Yes.
Maybe a pound or a dollar or 150. It doesn't matter what your hourly rate is. You are wasting some money
Yes.
when you're wasting time.
Exactly. Exactly. And so time is money, as we've all learned, right? So
Yes.
so the important thing is, how do we get more yeses? And that is the secret of bank. It's the ability to get more yeses and skip the nos. So we're going to
Yeah.
talk about that. But now, going back to the equation, the most important number of these 4, the most important variable, is the one on the bottom. How long is it taking you to make that sale?
Hmm.
How long did it convince you to get your parents to buy you that bicycle? Right? You could have been starting to ride it long sooner, right? So if you now here's the cool thing about this equation: if you increase all the ones on top by 10%, and you decrease the one on the bottom by 10%, you actually increase your velocity by 47%.
Yeah.
Now, if you are running a business and you could increase your velocity by 47%, that means more money. It means more time with your family. Maybe you
Mm-hmm.
have to work less.
Yeah.
Maybe now, if you have a team of people that you're coaching, and all those people can be more, that means they're going to be able to spend more time on your coaching, right? And more money on your coaching.
Yeah. Shortest amount of time, and the impact would be a lot higher.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So what we're going to do is we're going to help you increase the number of people that you talk to. We're going to help you increase the size of the deal value, because we're going to help you show more value to your clients
Yeah.
or family or whatever. We're going to increase the number of people that say yes instead of no, and we'll show you how we're going to do that. And then the most important thing is we're going to decrease the sales cycle.
Yeah.
And that's what our intention is. So here's the problem.
Yeah.
The problem is that there are actually 4 different personality types.
Yes.
And the problem is that we really usually only make one presentation. We talk to people according to our own personality. And I'll just, the quick story when it came to me, and this is actually where I understood what we had here.
Mm-hmm.
I used to sell, like I told you, I sold children on playing a different instrument. But after that, I literally went to school to learn how to sell pianos, because as a teacher, I wasn't making enough money for our household. So I went to work to sell pianos. And in doing so, the owner of the piano chain of stores taught me everything there was to know about pianos. He taught me that there were 12 layers of fine Sitka spruce in the soundboard. I remember that 50 years later. I mean, the reason I remember it is because that's what I told everybody who walked in the door of the store, even if they didn't want to know it. Some of them were grandparents. They just wanted to know, is this going to make my grandchild happy? Other ones, they wanted to know the bottom line, how much is it going to cost me? They were ready to walk out the door with the piano, but I told them everything about that piano. And I can't tell you how many I unsold doing that.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, the owner of the
That
store,
happens to me every day.
yeah, the owner of the store figured it out. He put me someplace else. But in the meantime, I was frustrated because I was talking people out of selling pianos. The same thing happened later on when I started selling things like health products. I knew all the science, I knew all the ingredients, I knew the science. If there was a clinical study, I knew every aspect of it. And I told every person I knew about all that stuff. And some of them would just roll their eyes and say, I'll get back to you. And I didn't understand what I was doing. But then about a year ago, I was introduced to B.A.N.K. Somebody did a speech where they talked about these 4 cards, and they handed me these cards. And I'm going to just come off share for a minute.
Yeah.
And they handed me these 4 cards, and they said, Marty, I want you to read the information on these cards, and I want you to sort them by what values are most important to you to which ones are least important to you. And I did. I went through the process. I said, okay, that's most important, that's second, that's third, and that's fourth. And I handed back the cards to her, and she said, this is going to help me serve you better, and it's going to save us both some time. And when I saw what she did, I realized, oh my God, that's the missing piece. As a John Maxwell trainer, I was teaching everybody that everybody communicates, but few people connect. And I realized this is the connect. This is how you connect with people. And I ran up to her as soon as she was done. I said, where do I get these cards? $20 later, I ran off with them, and I started cracking the codes of everybody I knew. And all of a sudden, my relationships were getting better, because all of a sudden, the people realized that I cared about them more than I cared about myself. My sales results improved because right away I understood what made them tick, and so I could talk to them as they could understand. So immediately my sales results improved. So some of the frustrations I had, all of a sudden, were going away very quickly, and that's how I knew that this was magical. So let's talk about why that happened.
Yeah.
So we're over back here. Okay. So the reason is because there are four different personality types, and I'm going to skip to it. But the problem is, and this was my problem, is that the Challey Group did a study. They're an independent research organization, and they found that only 18% of buyers will buy from a salesperson who doesn't match their personality type. versus
Mm.
2% when personality types are aligned. So take this not just as selling stuff,
This
but
was my finding personally, my finding as well. I could connect to my personality types like that,
yeah,
but I could not sell. And it confused me so much. I could not sell it to the least preferred, which is nurturers and blueprints.
yes,
Mm.
yeah. And so there's the science. Now that explains so much about why parents and children don't get along, why siblings don't get along, and why people don't necessarily get the sales that they want. They play a numbers game where they are able to connect with people who are like them, like you just described, Sudha. But if
Yeah.
people are not like them, it's hard, and we'll talk about why that is. But here's the result of it. Worldwide, 67% of salespeople miss their quota every month. 87% of salespeople around the world don't feel adequately prepared for their presentations. And 66% of customers are turned off by the salesperson's presentation. So that's worldwide professional salespeople. Can you imagine
Yeah.
how much it is for us amateurs? that's horrible, right? Well, here's the reason why. Because if you are only talking in your own language and you're talking to somebody else, you only have a 1 in 4 chance of delivering the right script. You're only going
Mhm.
to write 25% of the time. 75% of the time, you're going to deliver the wrong script and turn somebody off. Those
Yeah.
aren't good odds, right? If you're a solo business owner and you are trying to attract people, those aren't good odds at all.
No,
Yes.
it isn't. It isn't at all. For me, me being a knowledge person, I always questioned myself whether I am being logical. Should I be in the business? Should I just? I got overwhelmed by the whole. And then you get from these sales gurus and coaches, oh, you keep going, you keep going. I was like, I am going, but it is not morally, it is demoralizing for me. Not getting the sale, how
Yes.
can I not make people understand what I'm doing,
Yes, and the problem is that whoever was telling you that didn't really know how to help you. All they knew
Yes.
how to tell you was to motivate you and have you read inspirational books and get personal development and have the right mindset. But but the truth of the matter is this: mindset and skill set equals jet set.
Yeah.
You have to have both. Okay. Here's the
Yeah.
co- here's the cost of not having this information.
Yeah.
So whatever, take a piece of paper and whatever you have to write on a napkin. It doesn't matter.
Okay, I will just use my phone at the moment because I don't have
Sure.
cleared my desk. Yeah,
And,
go for it.
and Carla, do the same thing if you would. Write down on a piece of paper what your current income is from sales, what you made last year in sales, whatever
Yeah.
that is. It doesn't matter. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to multiply it by 3.
Yeah.
And the 3 represents the 3 types of personality types that you haven't been connecting with up to this point. So now,
Yeah.
if you add those 3, now you've tripled your benefit, you've tripled your opportunity. And now, what's that number? Well, that number is how much money you left on the table.
Yeah.
Okay. So now multiply that by the number of years you have left in your career. And now you know how much money you can take to the bank with the methodology that I'm about to teach you.
Yeah.
So whatever that number is, there's no right or wrong. It's whatever that's the number that's the opportunity cost. If you walk away from this and you say, "Well, my life is good. I'm just going to keep going." They call that insanity. Okay. Okay. So here's the thing. It's all about language. And it's all about my dog barking. So you'll, Max, no. Sorry. Okay. So let's make believe that the 4 personality codes are really different foreign languages.
Hmm.
Right now, we're all speaking English together, and English is good. So if you have something that is of value to the other person, and you're both speaking the same language, there's a good chance that you're going to make that connection and make that sale or make that persuasion. Fair enough?
Yeah. That's, yeah,
Okay.
basically, yeah.
Okay. Now let's take the second language, and let's say the second language is French. The only
Hmm.
French I know is French fries and parlez-vous français. But that's it.
I don't even know that.
There you go. Okay, so but if you could, well, now you potentially could increase your opportunity by 100%.
Yeah.
Your results. All right. let's say the third language is Hungarian. I know a little more Hungarian. I know the phrase hogi vagi. That means, how you doing today? What's going on? Well, it's cool, except if they answered me, I wouldn't have any idea what they were saying. So what do I do? Well,
You're
but if I
funny.
could understand, yeah, exactly. So if I could understand Hungarian, well, now I've increased my odds of 200%. Well, let's say the fourth language is Korean. I don't know Korean. Do you, Sudha?
No,
No, and I'm
I
guessing,
was
no? Okay, and Carla
I'm
probably
not
doesn't either.
even attempting to learn
No,
Korean.
me either. That really is a foreign language. So, but if you could speak Korean, well, now you've increased your odds by 300%. So let's go back to saying that the languages are really the other three personality codes. Well, so now if you could speak all four personality codes, now you have a 300% chance of better opportunity. And now all of a sudden, that's where that three comes in.
Yeah.
Make-
I mean, even if it is two, if you could increase by 2% or two times
Yeah.
more, you are in a better place rather than you were first go.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So here's how this all started. So Sherry Tree, who founded this company, actually she was selling financial services, and in doing so, she made a huge amount of money her first year. She was in a company where it was all commission. There was no income other than her own commission. She had to have her own leads. Everything was all on her, and she succeeded hugely her first year. She made a whopping $700. She failed miserably. Right? The only reason they didn't fire her is because she didn't quit. Well, she
Because they
wasn't
don't have to
satisfied.
fire her. They don't have any reason. They're not paying her salary if she
Yes.
doesn't make
Hold on a second.
money.
Max, no. Okay, there we go. Yeah, no, exactly. She was starving, right? And she couldn't understand why. Well, what happened was over the next 5 years, she decided that she was going to do all the learning. She learned Robert Kiyosaki. She listened to tapes by Brian Tracy. At that time, all the learning was on cassette tapes. Remember cassette tapes?
Yes.
And I mean, I wore out cassette tapes learning all this stuff, and she did too. And over the next 5 years, she increased her revenue up to $72,000, her income, which was okay. And the company thought that she was great. They sent her on some trips. They gave her some incentives. They even gave her own office. But she didn't feel like a success because she was $30,000 in debt from doing all that training.
Yeah.
Right. So she was driving a BMW with a title that was actually from the car had been in a flood. So it was a bad car and it would break down all the time, but she was faking it until you make it, which was something that people did back then, right?
I mean, even now they make many of whole social media. You see what on social media, it's like more people are faking it. At
Yeah,
least 80% of them.
exactly. God, I had a guy in one company I was with who was at a pretty high level, and I went to a restaurant. He was one of the valet parking guys. I said, "What?" Like, so yeah, there's lots of people who do that. But so now what happened was, like I said, they gave her own office, and so Sherry did some research. She said, "I'm not satisfied with $72,000. I'm not satisfied with being 30,000 in debt, and I'm not satisfied with driving an old car that breaks down every 5 minutes, where I have to bring the battery with me, an extra battery." So what did she do? She created this little system, and she asked the question, why do people buy? Why are some people saying yes to me and some people saying no to exactly the same presentation? And so she
Mhm.
created these little cards, only they were white at the time. They were just index cards. And she started doing this little experiment. Well, after a year doing this experiment, she made over $500,000. So she increased her revenue by 695%. She said, I may have something here. At
Yeah.
that point, she had a team of people. And so she taught all those people the same system. And now she got her income in 3 years up to over $1 million a year. She said, I really have something. And at that point, she departed with the company and decided that she needed to be able to teach us all around the world. And so that's when she created B.A.N.K. So what is B.A.N.K? B.A.N.K is an acronym for Blueprint, Action, Nurturing, and Knowledge. And let's just talk a little bit about what each one of those means, just to give you an idea. So a blueprint personality, and you can see it's the color blue because think of the blueprints of an architect. or a blue policeman. Blueprints are very much into stability and structure and following
It's
the rules.
more like blue collar jobs, isn't it? That's how they call it. It's more of a stability,
Yeah,
structure,
right.
sales, and all of that.
A process. They want to follow a process. They're very
Yeah.
much thinking within the box. They want the security that they're very much averse to risk. They don't want to take any risks. So those are the people you're going to find working for 40 years for the same company because they don't want to risk anything. So that's a blueprint. So if you meet a blueprint, the blueprint's probably going to shake your hand. That's how they typically will greet you.
Yeah.
But one thing about a blueprint, don't be late for a meeting with a blueprint. So if you take nothing else away from this conversation today, take this away. Sherry's favorite story is when she was selling financial services, she had this one deal that was worth tens of thousands of dollars, and she couldn't quite get the deal done. Finally, the prospect called her and said, okay, we're going to have lunch. I'm going to seal the deal. It's your job. It's your business. And she was excited, obviously. She put all the paperwork together. She headed to the restaurant, and she was about 10 minutes late. And they sat down for lunch, had a great lunch, and she's ready to slide the papers over to the client. And the client said, wait a minute, Sherry. I would just want you to know right now that I no longer want to do business with you. And Sherry said, why? What happened? You told me to come. We had lunch. What happened? Well, and the client said, Sherry, you were 10 minutes late for our appointment. And so you disrespected my time. If you disrespected my time before I even signed this paperwork, what can I expect from you afterwards?
Yeah.
Sherry got the message, and she was never late again. She realized that if you are working with a blueprint, you better be 15 minutes early because they're going to be 15 minutes early. Now, the question is, how do you know they're a blueprint? And that's how you understand, how you recognize them. One way is going to be with those having a set of cards, and we'll talk about how you can get that. But there's other tools we have that are going to help you assess that.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to make available to you. So the second code is action. Action is red. Think of the red carpet. People who are pure. Now we are all parts of all four of these, but we're talking about their dominant code, right? So if somebody is dominantly an action personality, there's somebody that wants to be on the fast track to success. If you have right, exactly, yeah, a racetrack, James Bond. I mean, they are all over it. If you have a sales organization and they're having a contest, the action wants to win that contest every time. That's why they have the contest, for the actions. They also want freedom and flexibility. They're the opposite of the blueprint. They don't want to keep to a schedule. They want to walk in the door and make a grand entrance because it's about them. So that's how you know it's an action. Now, an action is going to give you a high five or maybe a fist pump. They're not going to shake your hand. So that's how you tell an action. But you can see that if you have a blueprint and you have an action in the same room, there's a good chance they're not going to get along so great because they're definitely not talking the same language. So now let's talk about the third one, the nurturing. The nurturing is gold because they typically have a heart of gold. Don't talk to nurturing about being a millionaire because money doesn't motivate them. They're motivated by the mission. They're motivated by the purpose. They're motivated by creating a community and a culture of happiness and avoiding arguments in the big picture. They want peace and love. And you need them in your organization because they hold everything together and make sure everybody's getting along. But they are not about the money, but they are about helping other people. They're motivated completely by motivating others. And they're going to give you a hug. You'll know a nurturer because they're going to hug you, even if you don't want it. Okay? So now you have the last one, which is the knowledge. The knowledge is green because Sherry thought of the Excel spreadsheet, the engineer. Where a nurturer wants to recycle the box, the knowledge person is going to engineer the box. The action person is going to be completely out of the box, think out of the box. So, but the knowledge person is your engineer, it's your doctor, it's your person who really is a researcher. And God knows we need these people. If you're going to have a surgeon, you want them to be a knowledge.
Because it's an alignment thing, isn't it? It's if you don't have a knowledge, you can't align your mission and purpose.
Yes. If you're going to have somebody flying your airplane, you probably want them to be either a blueprint knowledge or a knowledge blueprint. If they're in action, they're not going to be on time. They're going to show up late for the flight. So that's what. So you can see that by knowing these codes, you not only can sell and really influence them better, but you can also put them in a job that really would suit their
Yes.
purpose, right?
Benefits.
So
Yes.
this is used. So who uses this? By the way, knowledge is not going to be very touchy feely. They're just going to hand you a business card. Okay. By the way, knowledge people are also very much into gadgets and the newest technology. That's the other aspect of it. They want to know. They want to
They're
know
open to
everything.
learning.
They're open to learning. They're very much into self mastery. They want to be the best at whatever they do.
Yeah.
And they also sometimes can be a little overwhelming with how much they know. So that's another aspect. So let's talk about what B.A.N.K is for. So B.A.N.K is really, we found this perfect for everything. And they actually sent out a company to do really a survey of what the bank universe would be. Who would really want to know about this and who could benefit? Well, the people in this company came back and they said, Sherry, we're sorry, we can't tell you who your universe is because it's absolutely everybody in the world. There's nobody who couldn't benefit by having this methodology in their hand and being able to master it. So it's used in sales, obviously. It's used in financial services, in real estate. We'll talk about some of the results people are getting in that. Professionals can use it. Coaches are using it, not only to get business, but also to add value to their clients, because whatever they're coaching them in is always going to be better if they have emotional intelligence. And this creates empathy, which is really the definition of emotional intelligence, or it's part of it certainly, is being able
Yes.
to empathize with the way another person thinks and be able to communicate with them in a rational way. So it's really about civility too, right? Online marketing companies are using it. Relationships, they're using it in churches and synagogues and all over the world now. We have actually one person in Pakistan who's using it to counsel his parishioners. Speakers and coaches, educational consultants are using it in schools now to develop youth groups and have kids understand values. We're using it to avoid suicide and bullying, because if kids can understand the value of the other person, they're not as likely to bully them. And they're not
Yes.
likely to feel bullied either. Okay. In leadership, again, it's good to be a leader, but nobody's following you. It doesn't matter. You're not much of a leader. You'll be standing around looking, it's like, who's following me? Okay. And of course, in a corporate boardroom, if you're trying to influence people to your point of view, or you're trying to align people to the jobs that they really want to have, it's awesome for corporate. By the way, one of our clients is Google. That's kind of proof of that. So does this work? Well, this was actually validated to be the only methodology in the world scientifically validated to predict your customers' decision-making behavior in less than 90 seconds. And we have a white paper from the San Francisco State University that shows this. And if you're interested, Sudha can send you that white paper so you can study it and we can review it together if you'd like.
Yes.
But it does validate it. By the way, recently a second white paper was done on a particular for network marketing. Actually, they engaged 2,000 network
We're
marketers.
talking about that next week, so
Yeah. Yep.
we will close this one for more.
Yep. But let's talk about the results we're getting. Okay, so this is one industry where they actually employed B.A.N.K to use it, and this is just among knowledge people. So typically, people who are primarily knowledge people will only buy a product at about a 16% rate, but using B.A.N.K as a means of connecting with that person and talking in their language, the results went up to 70%. So it's not just artificial. It's the results are right there. This is a real estate company in Texas, actually, in the Houston area, which has, you can see the 74 and the 44. The 74 is how long the average home is on the market. This company has shortened that to 44 days. So remember we were talking about the sales velocity quotient formula?
Yeah.
Well, that's that formula at work. Can you imagine if somebody is trying to sell a house or buy a house, which realtor do you think they're going to go to?
The person who understands them better
Right, exactly. And so
and gives the value.
this company which is using B.A.N.K with all the real estate people and all throughout their organization, is growing. All the other real estate firms in that area are actually diminishing.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Now, some of you may know the guy named Les Brown. Les Brown is one of the finest motivational speakers in the world. He has called B.A.N.K a game changer for every entrepreneur and sales professional, that this system will strengthen your confidence, expand your selling skills, and dramatically increase your income. By the way, he's a member of our firm at this point. He is so sold on it. He uses our methodology as well. So let's talk about return on investment. We're not going to give you all the options today, but we will later if you're interested in knowing it. You saw what the cost of not doing this would be. You can see that the return on investment would be very quick, regardless of how you engage with this, right? There's also a book. Sherry wrote a book called Why They Buy. And Sudi.
I love this book. It's really very eye-opening book.
Yes, it's actually what got me to become a trainer. When I read this book, and then Sherry said that she was going to be doing a webinar on how to become a trainer. It was after reading this book I said,
she's not doing it from Thursday. She's
yes,
doing another one on Thursday, isn't she?
exactly. So if you're watching this and you say, boy, I really need to master this, and I even would love to train it and make this part of my toolkit as a coach, Sherry will be doing a webinar on Thursday, and Sudha can send you the link for that.
Yeah, and people, if you are already a trainer, and you want to include this as a product, as another offering in your training portfolio, this would be even, you can use this as a step in, uh, not for free, but you can make money out of this, and it will change the whole perspective of how you're going to arrange your training, because I changed my training because of this. So please do let me know if you're interested. We are not selling. This webinar is not about selling. It's about giving you information so that you can make an informed decision as a trainer or business owner or small business owner, whomever you are. You're raising fund for your product, or you're raising fund for your business idea. It doesn't matter. It helps everyone. Okay, please do let us know if you're interested. Marty, take away.
Sure.
Sorry for the plug-in.
No, that's perfect actually. So there's a couple of options here of what we offer, and again, we're not selling. This is really just about information. So the first thing is the cards, of course. So if you're interested in getting the cards, we actually have them in English, but we also have them in an international language, which was originally designed for children. We have children as low as 5 years old using these cards to work as groups and understand their siblings better, and also understand the people in school better. So these are available, and Sudha can get those for you. The other thing is that we have a digital version of this called B.A.N.K Pass, where for $29 a month, you can actually crack the codes of people. And we're going to talk about what that looks like in a second. We're going to go through and crack Sudha's code.
We are already over the time limit.
Oh, okay. All right, we're 43.
Double the time limit.
Oh, okay. Well, but we've covered important things, right? So I don't think anybody will feel cheated ahead of their time.
No, they wouldn't. It was very intriguing as well. Very intriguing to know how this all. Tomorrow, are we going to crack the code?
Yes, tomorrow.
We were going to do it today, but it's over the time limit. So we're going to crack the code tomorrow. Is that right?
We will do that. Yes. There is one more option people have, by the way. There's a new tool that will be introduced this coming Thursday, which is an artificial intelligence tool.
Wow, that's why I am so into that, because I am an AI consultant. So it blows my mind how the machine learning and all of that works, natural language processing and all of that works. And this is phenomenal tool. People,
yes.
This is the game changer. Okay, I am not just exaggerating. This is not, you can ignore me if you want to, but ignore at your cost, not at my cost. Okay, that's the point here. If you really want to make a change, you have to be open to the change.
Yeah, absolutely. So
no point in closing yourself. Oh, I'm not going to do. That's the symbol of insanity. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing again and again, expecting different results. You all know I don't have to tell. I'm not a great person to tell you that. You all are great. So this is the game changer. Go on, Martin.
Yeah. So whereas the cards take about 90 seconds to establish somebody's bank code, and we all have one. The code is, what all the parts of the personality are. This artificial intelligence tool is going to do it in nanoseconds. by voice, by being able to look at someone's email or by their marketing materials or just what they say to you, you'll be able to crack their code in nanoseconds and be able to also communicate with them and have the tool tell you whether you are effectively doing that or not. So that's going to be released this coming Thursday, and we'll talk about more about that. Ask Suda for more information, and when it releases, you want to be online to get that one first, because I've seen it demonstrated, and it was just as advertised. It in 90 seconds, we sent the tool a script, and it was cut and copy and pasted into the tool. And within as long as it took me to do that, it had already told us that we had written a script that reached all the people we wanted to reach. And if it didn't,
Yeah, it gives you the primary, isn't it? It gives you
yeah.
the primary code
Yes.
when you are going to, so you can almost raise their personality even if they are down. They raise their personality or the mentality to their level,
Right.
and then talk to them in that level, isn't it? That's what is phenomenal
Yes.
about this. You raise these people to, even if they are in the lower vibration state, you
Yes.
raise them and talk to them in that level.
Yes, and you bring up an important point there, and that is that the personality code is not a life sentence. I call it a get out of jail free card, because if you find that one part of your personality needs some work to be able to raise it, well, we have the
Yeah.
tools to be able to help you do that. So this isn't something that locks you in. We teach you how
And
to.
puts you in the box. I think many people are thinking that, oh, it puts me in a box. I don't want to be that person.
No, no.
No, it gives you the self-awareness. Self-awareness is the first step for the emotional intelligence, or emotional quotient,
Yes.
which me being an emotional coach, intelligent consultant and coach, I can understand many of us have got to, once we improve that self-awareness, everything falls into place.
Yes. Yes.
We try to understand other person better. We try to behave better in the social circumstances. Mind you, people, I am a techie. I talk to computers a lot better than human, because they are unpredictable creatures, including me. So it just made me realize how important human relationships are.
Yes. So really, just to conclude, this isn't rocket science, it's personality science. Whether you want to rocket to the top of your sales organization, or whether you want to get your coaching schedule filled, or if you just want to have better relationships with your family. For instance, this has changed the relationship between myself and my wife, because I was a nurturer and she was a blueprint, and we had lots of fights about spending money, and that. But before I understood how important that was to her, I'll share that story another time. But the point is, this is going to affect every relationship in your life, which is why I said this isn't really just a methodology. It's really an upgrade to the firmware of your human operating system. And I'm going to conclude with that and turn this back to Suda. And again, Suda, thank you for inviting me.
Oh, thank you very much, because I wanted to know more about this and understand how this is going to. I do have a problem with sales. Don't get me wrong. I've got big problem. I can talk to knowledge people. I can talk to intellectuals. I can talk to people who understand the logic, and I can talk to people who can take action like that, because that is my secondary strength. But nurturers and blueprints, they exhaust me for some strange reason. I didn't understand what was going wrong there. And then I realized that I am trying to put a pole in a square peg and trying it to withstand all the weather condition, which was not going to happen. So that is all we've got today. Tomorrow, we are going to talk about network marketing. I've been a network marketer, and I know I've lost interest in network marketing because I could not convince. And this tool is, if you've been hearing no's and you've been losing your friends and family, shutting the door on your face when you're trying to get in touch with them, this is one of the tools which you can use to make them come around. I'm not saying you're being sleazy or you're doing something totally. It's about speaking their language so that they understand what you mean. And both of our we all want win-win situation, don't we? We all want win-win.
Yes.
So that's what this is going to do for you. Listen out for tomorrow. If you have not joined us or if you're watching us on replay, because I don't see many people joining. And also on Wednesday, we've got high ticket sales. This is for the salespeople who have got your coaching package, which is about £10,000, or your training package, or you're trying to get your corporate gigs, workshops set up for corporate people. That is where you would learn the tricks on Wednesday. And then tomorrow is network marketing. I'll put all the details in, and I'll see you all tomorrow.
Yeah. Also, real estate, by the way, would be high ticket.
Yeah, the real estate would be on Wednesday as well. Yes, yeah, that's another one.
Cool. Awesome. Well,
brilliant. Thanks, Martin. Thanks for your time. Carla, thanks for joining. Hope you are taking some of the information. Please do tomorrow. Carla?
Thank you. Great notes, great information. Thank you.
Yeah, did you find it useful?
Oh, I've resonated with this for a while, and as I keep growing in it, it just keeps illuminating its position and spot in my world. So yes, I'm very
Wow, brilliant. Thank you very much. Please do share if you've got any friends wanting to know about these details. Please do share this link, and I will see you tomorrow if you can join us. And meanwhile, thank you very much, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are or whenever you're watching this live or Zoom meeting. Bye for now.
Bye now.
Bye.